Hello everybody. I won't keep you too long, but when you do get a chance to look at this, I don't know where that started, so I'll start again. Hello everybody. I won't keep you too long. When you get a chance to watch this, because I don't expect many people will with work and everything, but when you do get a chance, if you would just drop like a little heart or a comment or something below, that just lets me know that you've actually watched it, like that you're consuming the information and you're learning, which is obviously important. So this video I had intended to do about 2 weeks ago after a conversation with Nicole, but I forgot. I didn't forget. I have a lot to do. So if I did everything I wanted to do at once, I think not only my mind would explode, but everyone else's mind would explode. So let's just take a really quick look at water, because I believe this was on a Saturday and I was asking like, what do you think affected your weight this week or something like that, and the water thing came up that she needed to work on water. So now that we're moving out of kind of the hotter weather, we're on the tail end of summer and the heat wave is gone, people are going to start getting a bit lackadaisy on their water, as we say. So probably not prioritizing it as much because they're thinking, well, it's not as hot now, we don't have a heat wave, which is all well and good, which is true, but we still do need water, and we still need an appropriate amount of water. So during the summer, I was recommending, I want you to have an ounce of water for every pound of body weight, which I feel is a good number. And then I was saying with the heat wave, let's add on an extra liter. If you're exercising, an extra liter. So right now a good range is going to be 1 ounce per pound of body weight, and that will include your teas. Not so much your coffee, but your teas at the very least, and your inner bath obviously. And if you're having like mineral water or the little flavored San Pellegrino cans, so they'll all be included when you're thinking of water. We'll say fluids. So an ounce per pound of body weight, that's a good target. I know for some people that's going to be a lot of water, so you can pull it back. Really, if we were looking at like a general number, like an average, I would say people should be aiming for about 3 liters of fluids a day, approximately. The bigger you are, like the taller you are, or the more weight you carry, you may need a bit more, but an average would be 3 liters. So here's the thing though, not to get too complicated, but it's important that I drive this information home. You have to understand. Understanding and learning is part of compliance and consistency, because not only is there the fear factor, you know what will happen if you don't do this or why something is bad, there's also the importance of supporting your health. And I know we all prioritize health on different levels, but when we have the fear factor and the importance, it's more encouraging for us to stay on track. We're afraid of what might happen if we don't, and then we realize the importance of staying on track and what it will do to benefit us in the immediate and in the long term. Anyway, so just to start what I want to say, back when I started my journey in 2006, when we'd go to Weight Watchers, we were always encouraged to drink water. And if somebody plateaued, they were just told, okay, increase your water or drink more water. And the next week on their way in, they wouldn't be plateauing anymore. Generally, the weight will have moved. And we all just didn't question it too much, didn't understand, just thought it was a miracle cure, and that was that. So if you plateaued, generally you would just increase your water and things would start moving again. And now obviously over the years I've come to understand how that actually worked and the importance of it, but still many people don't, because it's just water, water, water. Like you see it even on posts where people are asking for advice. It's drink your water, drink more water, focus on water. Like there's a lot of water talk, but people don't understand really the mechanisms behind it. Sorry, there's a glare on the screen that's annoying me. So on a very basic level, your cell, which we'll go with as a circle, your cell is made up of water. So the outer membrane of your cell is fat. This is why good quality fats are very, very important. The inner, where the cytoplasm and our nucleus and everything is that's surrounded by water. And the type of water that's in your cell, the same with the fat that surrounds your cell, is going to be determined on the type of water that you give your body for a start. So the cleaner the water, the healthier the cell, and the better it will function. And that's on many different levels when we look at what makes water clean, what makes a water a good water. So that's where, especially as we get older, we start to maybe consider the quality of our water, the sourcing of our water. Is this water known to have high levels of deuterium? So we start looking at all that sort of stuff. Even now, dare I say, people are starting to look at graphene oxide in water. I have considered it, I have looked at a few things, but I don't think it's the time to delve into that right now. So that's important to understand, that your cell is made up of water, and when it's made up of water, it's quite bulbous, it's got a good buoyancy, it's firm, it's got that healthy fat on the outside, and everything in the cell works really well, especially when it's really clean water, because of all these other molecules that can jam up the gears inside the mitochondria. The mitochondria is where we produce energy. So if you're drinking a lot of dirty water, let's say, not even like dirty water from a tap, let's say a lot of pop or alcohol or something like that, that's pretty much dirty water by the time it gets into your cell, and it's going to start gumming up all the gears and mechanisms, and you can't produce energy properly, and this is where you're fatigued, because the cell is full of dirty water. There's other sources of dirty water, but just to give you a simple kind of idea there. So the cell can't function and you get tired. So if the cell, I was saying this to a girl last night, your metabolism is within your every cell. Fact, full stop, end of story. When people think of metabolism, they start thinking kidneys, adrenals, the thyroid gland. Sometimes I think people think the metabolism is just a spirit. It's just an energy that's inside you. It is an energy that's inside you, but where does it come from? Well, it comes from the cell. I suppose part of it could come from your spirit, depending on how you want to look at things, but on a biological, chemical level, your energy comes from your cell. That is your metabolism, and of course we've got billions of cells inside us, so in order for us to have good energy, those cells have to be working properly. That is your metabolism. Your metabolism comes from the cell. So now that I've said that, if you're not, so forget about the dirty water and stuff like that and what would happen there. If you're not drinking enough water, this is where this lovely round bolus of a cell, this lovely little bubble that's full of stability and energy, this little bubble or this cell starts to shrivel up. And when it starts to shrivel up, it can't function properly, obviously. And when the cell starts to shrivel up, the membrane starts to get damaged as well on it. And when that happens, I'm trying to find a piece of paper, when that happens, the mitochondria can't work properly. So cellular energy can't be produced, for one. So this is where when we think of dehydration, we're like fatigue. So if I see someone's very fatigued or tired, generally the first things I'm going to ask about sleep, but I also look at hydration as well. So this is your healthy, strong cell, nice firm outer matrix. And then when we don't have enough water, what happens is the cell then becomes damaged and this outer membrane becomes impaired. The cell starts to shrivel up. And when the cell starts to shrivel up, not only does energy production go down, your metabolism goes down, because remember, metabolism is in the cell, so your energy production goes down. This then causes the cell to become stressed because it's clearly becoming damaged. The cell now is not in homeostasis. It's not where it wants to be, and the body always wants to be in homeostasis. So the cell then becomes stressed, which contributes to inflammation. But also, when the cell is not optimal, When we have a good strong pump from the cell and we've got everything functioning properly, then the cell is able to do all its detoxification mechanisms properly. And this is where, when the cell is working properly, it can detoxify, and the toxins, they get excreted from the cell and they get put into the bloodstream and the lymphatic fluid and free floating water, and they get excreted from the body. And that's awesome, because we want to be constantly detoxifying, because if we don't detoxify, the mechanisms within the cell, they get gunged up, they get all jammed with ceramide and some other molecules, deuterium, like I mentioned. So if the cell is dehydrated and it shrivels up and the metabolism slows down, it can't detoxify either. So a lot of these toxins, not just the two I mentioned, but other toxic molecules, they get trapped within the cell. They can't get out. So that further encourages inflammation of the cell. So if you go back to what I was saying about the women in Weight Watchers, if they'd plateaued, it wasn't so much that they had plateaued in that the cells had stopped functioning properly, because they weren't getting enough water to optimize cellular metabolism. So that was slowing down the metabolism. But also they weren't detoxifying, because there wasn't enough water to keep the cells stable but also flush out the toxins. So that was further contributing to inflammation as well. And this is why water, especially really clean water, in women over the age of, let's say, 25, where we start to hit these different stages of life, clean water is very, very important. Not so much in younger kids, because their cellular metabolism is more robust and able to deal with certain toxins. This is why kids can get away with more junk food or sugar than women, and not even women, older adults, and not see any health implications. Most children, and anyway, because they metabolize everything so fast and everything is still quite resilient, because they're young, everything's still new. But in us, water is very, very important, and I know it gets a pain in the ass, which is where I think teas and even mineral water, like sparkling water, they're nice, because you can break up the monotonous cycle of just having water. So like with your mineral water, you can obviously add some lemon, you can add some berries, some peppermint, you can add flavored balsamic vinegar. Like, you can break up that kind of monotonous just plain water all the time. And the same with teas. But this is where having enough water is very important. So if you look and you're feeling fatigued, lethargic, the scales is not moving, and you consciously know that you haven't been on the ball or on top of your game with your hydration, then this is what's happening down at the cellular level. You are impairing cellular metabolism and detoxification, which is slowing down your metabolism and causing a lot of inflammation in the body. So this is important, and this is kind of why I wanted to do this video, to not only help Nicole understand, but to help everyone understand that yes, water, 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 but there's a reason how it works and why it's so important. I'm going to finish this at this. I'll just wait for you to post questions down below if you have any, and I can answer them. The last thing is, we're in a really nice time now, between like mid-September, before it gets too cold. This is where I usually see people have their best weight loss, because we're going into the cooler temperatures, which can help increase fat burning if you do it right. But you don't need to stress too much about adding in extra water right now. Once we get into extreme cold and we have the heating on a lot, I think you guys still call it heating. I'm here nearly 8 years and I still get confused with terminology. But when we have the heating and the fire and the gas on a lot more, and even the fans in our car, that's going to start dehydrating us even more. So that's where we have to be conscious of having more hydration and more water. But we're not at that stage yet. That's going to be maybe December, hopefully, where it gets really bad. So we're in this nice frame now that if we can at least aim for 3 liters of fluids a day, most of us, then that's going to be a good marker. You'll know if you need more and if you don't need more. Go back and look at the dehydration posts and the symptoms. The biggest symptoms are going to be fatigue and a headache and constipation. They're our biggest symptoms of dehydration. But that there, I just wanted to clear it up. If you've got questions, post them below, and I'll be happy to answer them, because sometimes I talk and people get confused. Okay, bye-bye everyone.